Okay, so for week 11 discussion code challenge, do your normal stuff, set up your folder and your files, copy them over. Review the third input from calculating carbon footprint food. So I'll give you the link in that discussion by the time you see it. So 3 is evaluate your food choices, right? So as I was reading through this, and I definitely recommend, understanding it. I didn't look at here's the source of where it came from. So, in my opinion, there's actually 2 inputs here. One is this input of, do you eat domestic meat on a daily basis? Do you eat meat a few times a week? Are you vegetarian? Are you vegan? Or eat wild meat? I thought this was a really good way to look at this. You could debate whether this is true, but I think this is good. So then your associated points, because the second one is really its own input. So what you have to answer is, because you could be, you could be domestic meat, but your food, most of your food is prepackaged convenient. Or if you have a good balance of fresh and convenient food, add 6 points, 12. So this one we're not going to do. You totally could try it though. It'd be a totally fun one, Well, fun is a matter of opinion. So here's the steps that you need to take for minimum requirements for this week. And then I've given you, if you want more, do this, okay? So at minimum, update your form to the drop down. And this is how I recommend doing it. You could do it another way if you wanted. But we've already seen this, so I added it at the end. There's my drop down, It is that long because of the content there, so I could play with that, but that works. Okay, so that works. So do that. You can use the HTML attribute to validate or write custom. It's not a bad time to write custom validation. That one might be interesting to see how you would do it. It wouldn't be that hard actually. And then update the class, the FB class, with this new input, So the food input. Write a method to include food, in the calculation. Or first, determine what that food value is, very much like what we've done for the other ones. And then update the total method to include this in the total. So include this in the instantiated when you create the object, then write the method. You'll call the method like we've done before inside the constructor. And then you'll also update the total to also take into account that food score. Now, if you want more, and by the way, I'll just show you what mine looks like. There we go. Cool. It does delete. It does edit. Cool. So I did all of them. I did this part too, but again, this is we'll do this next week. But I think it's doable, especially once you get this done. This is the render part is really good to remember, Okay, so I just want to say a word about this because I want you to know, I listen when you guys say really the challenges are too much. But I do want to say that there is an important point of watching these videos, looking at what the output is, and attempting these challenges without help. That moment, that time you spend is really, really important because it's where you really start to understand how much or how far you've come or how far you need to go, or just give your brain enough time to ruminate on these things. And if you're not doing that, I'm not going to give you all the points. I want to give you as much points as possible, but you got to do your side, So, my preference is obviously you attempt the work and ask for help. Actually, my preference, I don't know if I have a preference. Of course, getting the work done is great. Asking for help is great. Telling us what you think and attempting the code, great, But just going right to the solution will hurt you a bit on the score, Because it's not the intention. The intention is to actually take that moment, several if you can, you know, again, this is where reaching out for help, talking to somebody, giving it some time to really, this helps you really train your brain for breaking down problem solving, these types of things. One thing I want to leave you with, I realized after, and this is just an addendum to the last code along, as I was coding, and this is I have a breakpoint set in my main, and I was looking at my methods, I realized I had named my method and my attribute, my key value pair inside, I had named them the same thing, and I thought, oh man, I'm surprised it worked. And it actually did allow me to do it. But it's probably not the best thing to do. Like, here's what I mean. Household points was a method, but household points was also part of my constructor. Or actually, it was something I updated in my code that it wasn't part of the constructor. It was part of what my code created by calling this dot household points, right? And I was really surprised, but it kind of makes sense now that I think about it, that it allows you to have both. But I think just reading it doesn't make sense. So that's why when I did food, right, I named it food choice, right? And then food choice points. So I probably need to think about, and in this case, because it's house, anyway, whatever. So I'm just telling you, I was shocked that that didn't cause that to overwrite, or that it didn't create other unintended problems. But now that I looked at it, I realized, you know, and that's just what happens when you get more and more code. Things like that can come up, and sometimes you just don't see them until later. All right, hope you have fun with this. I'll talk to you later.